Hello, welcome to the fifth installment of this series of Profound Experience of Poetry Conversations, which are like a bonus feature of the Profound Experience of Poetry Book Club. Um, if you want to join the book club, we meet every second Sunday and we vote on all the different books that we read. We It's just on Zoom, but it's really fun, and everyone's welcome. So sign up if you're interested. This These conversations that I'm having are with people who are in and around the book club, and there's not really any reason for it other than that just like I get to talk to people, find out how they feel about things, uh, and you do too. So today I am talking to Rachelle Toarmino, and I'm really excited. I should introduce myself first, I guess. My name's Lucy. I'm the editor of Profound Experience, and I also started Shabby Dollhouse, wrote some books. That's that's enough information for now. But Rochelle, would you please care to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Rachelle Toarmino. I am a poet, a writer, an editor. I co-founded Peach Mag with some friends back in 2016. I'm an MFA student at UMass Amherst, and yeah, wrote some books as well.
So I was rereading that X, your debut collection, in preparation for this conversation, and there was one thing that I noticed. Well, there are many things that I noticed, but the one I'd like to talk about now was there are two lines in your book. One says, "Where I come from, you get knocked out cold for that," and the other one, "Where I come from, women are called girls no matter how old they get." So, so I just wondered if you could talk about where you come from.
Yeah, sure. I'm from Niagara Falls, New York. It's about 20 minutes or so away from Buffalo, New York, which is the city that I moved to in high school and for college, and that I most recently moved from. Um, Niagara Falls, and like my family in particular, I come from like an interesting, like big Southern Italian family. Those lines in particular, maybe about like just like I don't know. I think something that I think about, or that I'm thinking about a lot lately in my poetry, is like the kind of like norms and language and like forms and things like that that we inherit from these like micro communities that we grow up in, and how like so much of our life becomes this rebellion against those things. Um, so both like a source of pride and a source of like youthful rebellion against like the sort of more patriarchal misogynist elements of Italian American culture.
And when you were growing up, I've been to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, but I've never been on the American side. Uh, are they very different? Do you know?
They're like completely different. Niagara Falls on the Canadian side is so fun. It's like this like outdoor casino. It feels like, if you've been to Clifton Hill, especially, it's like there's so many, there's so much to do, and there's just like restaurants and keychain shops and hard rock cafes and rainforest cafes and all sorts of like attractions. It's like really built up. The American side is sort of sad. I don't know, we haven't had the best luck with politicians, and you know the mob sort of ruined a lot of Niagara Falls, um, and it's basically in like economic shambles. It's like one of the poorest places in the country. Um, yeah, there's like not much to do. It's like this running joke for people who are from Niagara Falls that we get all of these like international visitors every year, and you can see them outside in like the green spaces, like very excited to with their maps and stuff, and then they all just like seem to end up going over to the Canadian side because there's just like nothing to do on the American side. So yeah, it's a sad situation, but all of my family is still there and I love it and it's still dear to me, but it's run down for sure.
Yeah. So like when you were growing, so you moved to Buffalo during high school, did you say?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in DeVoe, that neighborhood in Niagara Falls. It's like kind of near the gorge and the water. Um, and moved to when my parents divorced, we like stayed in the falls for a little bit and then like moved more into like the sort of rural suburbs of Niagara Falls um, for like middle school. And then in high school, we moved out more toward like Erie County, Buffalo.
And I guess I'm interested in like how you came to literature and writing. Like when did that happen? And what happened?
Yeah. I came to it late, actually. I was like not a good student as a kid. Um, like I was always reading like Captain Underpants, but that was practically it. It was like a big like video game, just like loner loser. And didn't really like get into writing until high school. I made a friend in high school named Anne, who was always lending me her books. Like her mom was always taking her to Barnes and Noble and buying books. And
Wait,
she
you
just
think that getting into writing in high school is late?
no, that's when I got into reading.
Okay.
I didn't get into writing until like, or I don't know, because like live journal was such a huge thing in high school. And like, I don't know, my high school sucked. Like English classes just like were just like so stupid. And I feel like we read like a few Shakespeare plays and like a couple like classics from the canon, but that was it. Like we never talked about like poetry or like anything. Like some of these people have such great like English high school experiences, and mine was just like not like that at all. But I had live journal, and like all of my friends were on live journal, and it was like the height of emo music. And I would get home from school every day and just go on like azlyrics.com and discover a new band and read all of their lyrics in one afternoon and like save all of my favorite parts to my live journal or my AIM buddy profiles. And that felt like a bit of an intro to poetry for me.
Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was similar. Like, didn't have live journal, had teen open diary for some reason. But also like was more into music and like, I mean, like no, yeah, like in the poetry that they would like show us at my school was like did not make you want to know anymore.
Yeah, totally. It was just like
Um,
boring, like, and it wasn't even like, I don't know. I went to a Catholic high school where, you know, half the teachers didn't have teaching certification and were making like $25,000 a year. So like, I get it. I used to teach at a school like that, so I get it. Um, but it just, what a wasteful
yeah.
opportunity.
So you kind of you didn't like. I mean, is anybody really into literature when they're at that age? I mean, that's still into it now. Like
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
I feel like I really didn't think so because it's just was not part of my upbringing or like I don't know, like my sister and I are the first in my family to like go into college right from high school and
Me too.
um like I didn't grow up with like books in the house or my parents reading or anything like that. So like the idea of like poets and writers being these living people was not something that I really fathomed until college. And I don't know. I never thought so, but the cool thing is like through Peach Mag, I have this inside like look at some youth at least because we have a youth program where we bring on like seniors in high school to edit like a monthly youth feature at the journal, and there are so many young people writing and writing really interesting things. So I guess some people are doing it and good for them.
Yeah. What what made you want to do that? The Peach Seed program.
Yeah. a good question. It was like right around the time that like the youth climate actions were starting to kind of become like a mainstream movement, like back in 2017, 2018 in America. And I was just feeling really inspired by young people and wanted to give them like a space in like whatever conversation that I was trying to create at the time in whatever small way through Peach Mag. So that kind of, I think that's like where it came from. I was also, I'd been a teacher for 5 years and left that career to make money for the first time, because I needed to. And I was, working this like boring corporate communications job, and I missed working with younger people. And so that was a big part of that too, I think.
Yeah. I guess, well, I was going to talk about your writing first, but now we've started talking about Peach Mag, so I feel like we can continue with that. But so you started Peach Magazine in like 2016, right?
No, I started Peach Mag. Peach Magazine is the porn
So
site.
Oh my God.
I know.
Okay, yeah. But that was 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's sorry, you cut out for a second, but yeah, it was the summer of 2016.
Yeah. And like why did you want to do that?
Um, I had like just gotten back to Buffalo that spring after spending 3 years teaching abroad in Spain. And I'd come home for like sometime every summer and like reconnected with friends. Um, but like getting home that time, I was trying to go to as many readings as I could. A big part of the reason that I came home was to be more immersed in like reading and writing communities. And I just like didn't really see like a space for me, I guess, in like the Buffalo literary community as it was established at the time. Like there's a big slam poetry scene. There's a lot of like established writers in Buffalo, but there wasn't like a real like youthful kind of scene that was not like more conventional poetry, but just like not slam poetry. Like there wasn't more of something for like people in their like 20s and 30s, just kind of like trying to read and write together. Like little pockets of it here and there, but nothing really like routine and part of the culture. So I wanted to, I had knew like so many people who were writing and reading and doing interesting things. Matthew Bookin, as you know, among them, and wanted to like highlight those people and establish like a new kind of like personality for a literary community in the city that could just be about like having fun and sharing with each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting because like I mean I've been to Buffalo like a couple of times, but like I don't live there, and like I think of Peach as being like very online and sort of even international. Like you can publish people from anywhere, right? But like the initial sort of impetus for doing it was more local, you think, or
I think it
how
was a
did you
little bit
envision
of
it?
it was a little bit of both. Like right when we launched the magazine, we also launched the reading series. So it was this way to like be promoting the work of people from anywhere and then having a reason to bring them to Buffalo to hang out and like
Yeah,
to meet people and to like have those like very intense, brief experiences that, I mean, because you've traveled to do readings before, it can be like so exciting. And I don't know, I don't really feel like I don't think it's a Buffalo based thing. Or I mean, like me and the two co-founders were Bree and Booken were all from Buffalo at the time, and in Buffalo together and working together and like doing the reading series together in Buffalo. But it doesn't feel like a Buffalo thing, especially now that we have so many editors working elsewhere. But it definitely was like, even though it's mostly online, it was like an excuse to bring people together for these like readings. And yeah.
And did you think when you started it that you would still be going after 5 years?
I had no plan.
Mhm.
I I don't know what I thought. I I don't know that we like thought everything through. It's just been like kind of like following what interests us at any given moment and like adapting to it and trying out new things if it works, continuing them if it doesn't, retiring them. I have learned that, like, especially when you're working on a team of people, the whole like your whole capacity for what you're able to do and the personality of the thing itself will change drastically, like every few years or so, just because um, people's lives change every few years, especially people our age who are, you know, either fresh, like some people were just students and so they had some more time, or maybe their like careers change or they settle down and they want to start a family or like whatever it is. People like term in and off all the time. And so I'm like learning to figure out how to keep Peach um, a thing that can like stay open to that kind of evolution. And so we don't like get burnt out on doing too much at once. Um, yeah, I don't know that I totally have a plan. I mean, I always have a plan that's like a few years out of like programming kind of a thing. At least now I do. I didn't when we first started. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But
Yeah, when you first start, like you don't even know if like you're gonna get any submissions that you're gonna want to publish or whatever, right? Like you don't
yeah,
know. You have no idea what's gonna happen.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
but do you think that the like not the aesthetic, but like the kind of work that you publish, like do you think that that has evolved? Like, do you feel like you're like, is it everybody's growing up together and you're like kind of charting that, or do you feel like you're continuing to publish young people who are like, you know what I mean? Like, are the concerns of the texts like growing up?
Yeah, I think for the most part, our focus is still on emerging writers. And I want that to remain like what the space of Peach is for people, or at least like in the wider literary community. Um, Especially because of the format of the journal, like it being this twice weekly, just like featuring one writer at a time instead of in these like issues. I think that keeping it a space for emerging writers primarily is important to me, at least. Um, I think that like the trick to keeping it like new and fresh is that we always have these members of the editorial team circling in and out. And
Mm,
like there came a point after, I think it was season 3, where we were just getting so many poetry submissions.
right.
And like, I mean, it was me, Booken, and Bree, and they can read anything. They're such great readers. But Booken, as you know, like mostly writes fiction, and Bree's not a creative writer. And so like the poetry kind of like focus would fall to me a lot of the time,
Yeah.
just being the poet on the team. And that meant that the journal's like poetry features were in large part determined by my taste at the time. And that didn't really feel fair anymore, just because we were getting so many submissions and I wanted to bring on people who had different tastes than me to
Yeah.
help me keep it like different and interesting and various and diverse. And so that was the idea in expanding the editorial team.
And do you like find it difficult to give other people control of something that you sort of started, or do you, I mean, obviously you choose people that you respect and admire and everything, but how does that feel for you?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's the trick is like picking out, like picking to work with people who I like completely trust and whose work I like. And, you know, people who I like as friends, but also people who I respect as artists, and people who I have really good relationships with in terms of communication and transparency and conflict resolution, and respect. And so I found that if I'm mindful of those elements when I'm trying to think of new positions to create, or people to replace existing positions, that's like made my life so much easier. It's just bringing on these people.
Yeah. What I know there's probably a lot of these, but like, what would you say was the highlight of doing Peach Mag over the past 5 years?
Oh wow. Um like made so many fucking friends. I don't know. I feel like my whole friend group is dominated by writers and artists. And that has been so crucial to my growth as a writer and artist. And I have access to all of these conversations I get to have with people. Like I'll never forget the time I just like called Jacob Meyer out of the blue and hashed out line breaks with him for like an hour. I don't know. It's allowed me to do what I want, which is just like have reading and writing be a central part of my life, even if it's not like a paid one or something, at least in terms of Peach. But yeah.
There's kind of more freedom though, in some ways, in it not being your like source of income,
Yeah.
right? Like you can really do whatever you want. And
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. I mean, I've had like so many plans to try to make Peach into a thing that can be a source of income. But then it just like too much pressure gets put on it, and it makes me feel like less interested in trying new things or being experimental, when I have to think about it as something that can like make or break a livelihood. And like not just for myself, but then I'd have to also think about compensating other members of the team and contributors. So just keeping it this like volunteer thing where we're all volunteering our time, and contributors, if they want to publish with us, are volunteering their work. Keeping money out of it is working for us at this stage.
yeah.
Though I don't know.
What do you think about like, do you ever wish like that you could do more, like, or like, you know, that what would you do like if you had like unlimited time and resources and like people to like make something happen? Like what would you want to do, books or like, I don't know.
I would not want to do books. Well, we have a new anthology series coming out. We're actually going to announce it next month, so I don't want to say too much about it. If I had unlimited time and resources though, and like maybe like business knowledge, like I just had to go through Peach's first tax season since I established it as an LLC a year ago, and it was just like such a headache. I would want to open, I think, a venue, like a readings venue, workshop space, maybe like bar and cafe, like a space where people could physically be together.
Yeah.
but I don't know how to do any of that. And it seems like a lot of like bureaucratic stuff just to get like licenses for food and drinks. And I don't know.
Would you want to do that in Buffalo?
It would be, it would be doable in Buffalo. That was actually a plan at one point. Or it was a dream at one point. I was thinking like Peach 5-year plan could have like some kind of venue in Buffalo, but now with everything in COVID,
Not a great time to make plans.
yeah, not a great time to like think about that. But Buffalo, it has the kind of community, it has the kind of like cost of living where it would be an actual possibility. It's a great city for that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about it anytime soon.
Okay. Yeah, but I kind of like feel the same. Like I would love to do something like that one day. Don't know how I would do it or like what the point would be, but it just like I think that it's yeah. Why did you say no to books like that?
Because it's like now that I've put out a book, um, it's so much work. It's so much work.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work as it is, just trying to find the right way to be an editor in the world with like as indie of a project as Peach Mag. I would have a really hard time, I think, being given the like responsibility to put out a book by someone, because it's just so much more is riding on it in terms of someone's like career. I would have a really hard time like if it didn't sell or something, if it didn't, you know, get publicity, if it didn't if it got bad reviews, I think it would just, I don't think I have that kind of like personality where I'd be able to take it well. I think I would take it really hard. So I just don't want that kind of responsibility. And I have nothing but respect for people who do it. But for me, it would just be, I think, too much.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I don't, yeah, I agree. Um, but it's a shame because we need and sometimes I think like, but well, about me anyway. I think like, okay, I've done all this stuff where I've published a lot of stuff online, like I've edited so much, I've like got a network of people. Like I think, is that like kind of what you should do next? Like after having like having developed all those skills and like being in the position that I am, I'm like, would I be a good person to do that? Well, and I think the same about you. Like, is that like the natural next step? But then, yeah, I also like think it seems like there's so much to it that is just really hard and really sort of I don't know, just would doesn't excite me at all. So I love publishing stuff on the internet because it's easy. Like it's you can do it quickly or you can do it whatever pace you want and you don't have to ship anything, you don't have to deal with any physical objects. It's just like here's the work. Like and I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I think a lot of it would come down to like putting together a team of people where so one person doesn't get burnt out. Like someone who knows distribution, someone who knows like layout design, someone who knows publicity, you know, someone who can take care of just like the day-to-day like management of like funds and the budget and communicating with the authors and keeping them updated on sales and royalties and all of like the logistics of it. If like you can identify people who are willing to do that for like a press, that would give you then the freedom to do the thing that you like to do, which is identify small press authors who have manuscripts that you'll love editing and working on and promoting. I think it like does require a variety of people working on a thing in order for one person to not get burnt out, though, is the unfortunate thing about the small press situation.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it about me.
No, I think I want to hear about what you're thinking about. I in some of these other conversations that you're having with people, you're like brainstorming, thinking about starting a small press. So
I don't know. I'm not really thinking about anything. I'm just I just think it would be like, I just think there are books that need to be published, and I don't know who's gonna do it. I mean, I think also like, I don't know. Part of me, like, I think like Jian passing away, like kind of, it just makes you think about like what skills you can, what you should do, right, with the life that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I should do that, or that you should either, but just when you see like the impact that someone had, that they like, and that they like gave so much of their life and like contributed so much to so many people in a meaningful and impactful way, like it just makes me think like, well, like what more can you do? Like what more can I do to like serve the thing that we care about?
Yeah,
So.
I get that. I've been thinking about that a lot lately too. I think because of Jian passing away. I think that we can't know what our impact is. You know, like you can't possibly know the impact that you've had on me personally. And you know, I love that like running joke that we all have, where you can pick up any one of our books and flip to the acknowledgements, and Lucy K. Shaw's name is there. You know, it's like it's true. Like you, like through Shabby and through Profound Experience, I think that I get like thinking about impact when something like this happens. And I think that if you want to start a small press, that you're like the person to fucking do it. You have like such good taste and you really care about people and their work. We need more of that. But
Let's not
it's a
talk
lot
about
of
it
work.
now.
Okay, yeah.
This isn't what we came here to do.
I've come here to convince you to start a small press.
Thanks for the encouragement. Let's talk about That X, which came out last year.
Okay.
Came out like in June, right?
Yes, June 9th.
So it sort of was released into this depressing and horrific pandemic.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, the first question is like, how did that feel?
I mean, it sucks. Like there's no way around it. I'd like seen all of my friends at that point like debut and do tours and have like big launch parties, and I don't know. I have like little sister syndrome. I feel like I'm just always like pouting or like feeling like I got to a party too late sometimes, or I don't know. It sucks to put out a first book, which is something that you look forward to for so long in the circumstances of last year. Yeah, I have nothing good to say about it really.
But you did manage to do like an unprecedented style of reading. Launch the
Yeah,
book, nonetheless.
yeah. That, thank God. I mean, yeah, there was just like all of this like pent up, like, you know, like putting out a book sucks. It's like so much of your like heart and soul goes into it. Just like editing sucks. Just being scared it's like not good after all, kind of a thing. All that doubt that creeps in those months before it comes out. And then in pandemic, one day it was just out and I couldn't see anyone's reactions to it. And I don't know, I really wanted to, I like needed to have like an event where I could just be like, okay, and now it's out, because it just didn't feel real yet. And then also the printer that my publisher uses is this printer that had like I think it was like a business day, like a 20-day business days delay of like shipping. So it's a lot of time between like the launch of the book and when people were actually receiving their books, and that like excruciating waiting period, because it already been such like a waiting period up to that point. So I felt like at a certain point I really needed to like have like a second chance to like launch it, because the publication date wasn't sort of aligned with when people got their books. So that was a big part of it too.
So can you talk about the drive-in?
Yeah, I stood on a car, my fiance's car, and we used this like enormous parking lot of this like fossil park. Really like the most random thing. And used like an FM transmitter on a phone to just broadcast to all of the cars in the parking lot. And it was perfect. It was way easier than I thought it was going to be. But yeah.
I feel like that's so much cooler than like what you probably would have, like if you'd have just done a normal reading.
I know. And like the constraint of like the pandemic really made me think out of the box.
Yeah. And I know that you like can't really plan things probably, but like would you like to like go on a tour or do something? I know that it'll feel weird because it'll be like so long after the book came out, but
Yeah. The hope is to do a tour as soon as it's safe. I already know who my tour mate will be, and hopefully that person will have their first book out by the time this happens, and so we can kind of like open for each other and have more of like a dynamic thing going on there. Yeah, I would love to do a tour, not only just to like sell the book and promote the book, but because I just want to see all of my friends in these different cities. That was the most fun thing about doing tour together,
yeah.
when we did it back in 2017. So that's the hope.
Yeah, well, I want to come to some of them.
I want you to too.
So how can you sort of describe how would you describe that X?
When I think about that X, it's like a carefully it's like the book of my 20s. A lot of the poems in there are from like different relationships and crushes and heartbreaks from my 20s, that I then like carefully ordered to make it seem like it was, one. I don't know. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's out. I feel like I'm writing things that I'm really excited about right now. And I'm almost like trying again, if that makes sense. I don't know if everyone feels this way maybe once they put out a book, but I feel like I'm writing the things that are like a different version of the same thing right now. Like that X is like here, and like everything I'm writing is almost like the subconscious of what was going on at the time that I was writing those poems.
Yeah. What, so you're like going deeper into the same experiences, or
Yeah, I think like that X was like such a celebration of love and the love poem and the lyric. And what I'm writing about right now is maybe a little more like grotesque or like painful, or just like ugly and like unpolished. I feel like I got that X to a place where it felt really polished by the end of it. And now I'm kind of like ripping all of those ideas up and seeing what comes out of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's right. I think you're right. Like polished would be a good word for it. It does feel, I mean, you worked on it. I know that you worked on the manuscript for like years, right? It took a long time to get to the point where it actually came out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did
Yeah,
it?
I worked on it for I mean, I think the oldest poem in there is like from 2015. So, and I was submitting line edits right up until the day before we went to print. So, you know, that's 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to get that away from you, right? You don't want to be dealing with the last 5 years anymore. Like, just now that that's a book and it's like on the shelf and you can rethink things and think about other things, like that's I think
Yeah.
an unsung part about
Yeah.
publishing a book.
Yeah. And I think also it's especially because like I just started my MFA this year, having that X behind me once I started the MFA as this like thing I was able to do with nothing but like teaching myself poetry.
Mm-hmm.
To get all of the poems into a certain place where it was like I loved these poems and I had a lot of fun writing these poems and working on them and editing them and putting them into a book in a manuscript. But I didn't want to like lose them, but I also didn't want to work on them anymore. Like I didn't want to be workshopping You Up with Ocean Vuong and Peter Gizzi. Like I just wanted to be done with like who I used to be. Felt like growing out of something.
Wow. So are you like 30 now?
Mm-hmm.
So when the book of your 20s, it's like really funny that it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna like work on the book of your 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I don't know. I think like I'm revisiting a lot of experiences from my 20s right now. But I think that the poems, or like I personally required distance in between like myself and the experiences to be able to see them clearly, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I know that for a while you were working on essays. You were thinking about putting together some kind of essay collection, and then you went to do the poetry MFA. So I imagine that's on hold, or are you still thinking about that?
It's simultaneous. The poetry, I mean, it's really just like so foundational, I think, to everything that I try to do in any kind of writing. And so what I'm like able to study and work on right now in workshop and seminars, I'm able to apply to the nonfiction project. And I'm lucky because at UMass, there's like a really strong emphasis on cross-genre work. Like I'm taking a fiction workshop next semester.
Wow.
And you know, Ocean is here, and his last novel was I mean, mostly a novel, but then there were chapters of verse and there were chapters that were more like almost like nonfiction reading. So I'm keeping an open mind to how the nonfiction project might evolve and actually become part of the thesis that I'm working on right now. It might all become the same book. I'm writing a lot of poems, but I don't know. Or it might be two. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I like that idea. I think that would be well, but then again, I might be just saying that because I'm like more interested in prose.
Yeah.
So I'm like, put the poetry with the prose. But I think it sounds like a nice, like, I like, yeah, I just like when that happens, that sort of hybrid. Like when in the book club, like when we read Heather Crystal's The Crying Book. I mean, it wasn't like there was poetry in it, but it was just like so poetic throughout, and but sort of narrative driven at the same time.
Yeah, it read like a poet writing prose. And I don't know. I hope that I can bring that same kind of understanding of like lyricism and form and things like that to the nonfiction projects that I'm working on. And I think like, I don't know, there's like what is genre? I don't know, especially for like the poetry and nonfiction line, I think is blurred a bit for me right now, because there are prose poems and there's lyric prose, and I'm trying to like break out of thinking of genre because it is just like a marketing tool, and thinking like in like a form follows function way, that like, this is what I'm writing about. How does it need to be written? And is it nonfiction or poetry? Does it matter? Kind of a thing.
Do you want to be a bestseller?
Yeah, I can't wait to sell out. I would love to be a bestseller. I would love to find a way to do this. Not just for like 3 years, like I would love to find a way to sustain my like livelihood so I can do what I actually want to do with my one life. I've already designed like so much of my life around reading and writing and poetry, and I want to continue doing that forever, but unfortunately money and health insurance will inhibit that.
How long are you in the MFA for?
It's a 3-year program, so I will be graduating in the spring of 2023.
Wow, it's so long.
Yeah, it's luxurious. I think most programs are only 2 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. And so, yeah, so you have a long time before you have to think about what you're going to do afterwards. Or, I mean, you also have a lot of time to come up with a best-selling book.
Yeah, let me know if you have any ideas.
Okay. But I've been asking people this in this series of conversations and just in life. But what does having experienced the past year or so, like how has that changed, or has it changed how you want to live in the future? Does it make you want to do anything differently?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not the best person to ask in a way where I have like a yes answer to that. Like I've always been like kind of, yeah. Well then no. No, I don't know. I've always been like more of a shut myself in my room and like read and write and like get dragged out of the house occasionally by friends kind of a person. So I mean, I got lucky. I had a job where I could work from home, and it was kind of just like a dream for me personally to be able to be home all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have like a strong desire to be in any one place. So I feel like kind of out of time and out of place this last year because I haven't needed to like see certain people because we haven't been able to. I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know.
So what you're kind of saying that you quite like it.
Love the pandemic. No, I mean, I guess if there's something that I've learned in the last year, it's been like just kind of owning that I'm someone who needs a lot of alone time. And because this has been, for me personally, an excess of what I love, and I've been able to like get a lot done that I normally would feel guilty about. I think going forward, I just like want to retain those like boundaries for myself, or feel like okay, like not seeing friends as often as like most people see their friends or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I relate to that. I I mean, I before this, like, I didn't like live anywhere just for the like past few years. I was just always traveling and like would travel to see friends and stuff, but then would like have long periods of being in places where I like didn't know anybody and doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy seeing my friends, but I also like talk to them all the time anyway. I don't know, like yeah, but you're not really supposed to think that, right? Or feel that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't. But I feel like for me, like I'm like I operate better like with people if I've like had a long time of being by myself, like doing my things, thinking about whatever it is, and then I can like come see whoever and like we'll do something fun and exciting and then I'll just go again. Like but that might be dysfunctional, I don't know.
No, no, I get that so much. I really love like feeling like I'm storing up all of this like kind of energy and like conversation to then share with someone else. And eventually I just like feel like I run out of things to talk about or joke about, and I need to like go be quiet and store up a bunch of stuff again. And
Yeah, I
I just
really
like, no, go ahead.
no, I like just like being alone and like learning stuff and like thinking about how I feel about things and like like charging myself up. So I'm like, but then like we're saying this, but then we like both deliberately put ourselves in situations where we're like the center of attention in a room full of people and everyone's like really excited about whatever the thing is that we've done, like which is not which is also weird, right? Like,
Yeah, it is.
so
It totally is. Like I all of my favorite activities are solitary ones, and that's unfortunate. But I also like, I don't know, I don't have like a very like steady um like locale based friend group or something, or like I don't know, I don't like see my family in the way that a lot of people like see their family all the time or something. And so I it's it works for me just being able to like text my friends or talk to them on the phone. And you know, so many of my best friends live in different cities and we've never lived in the same city, and it just like feels normal, I guess. Like
yeah.
the pandemic hasn't felt like that crazy of a change in my social life as it has for some people. It's like really hit some people hard, and it's just like felt like more of the same in that regard to me.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, it's more extreme, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't really know that you thought of yourself like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think I'm like an extroverted person because I'm not like shy, but
Yeah,
I I prefer, I like spending a lot of time alone, and then I also love being around people. But if I think about it in terms of like percentage wise, it's like 90% of the time I need to be alone, and then 10% of the time I get to like feel re-energized by being around people and that like refreshing feeling of conversation and fun. But in order to make that possible, I need to like be alone.
and I think that like this is this is part of like why you love animals too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's better being alone when there's like a little creature there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Bug, my cat, he was just like always down to like lay in bed and read with me all the time. And like
You had
not
no other plans.
he had nowhere else to be. It was great. I was the center of his universe. And just like the routine of like still taking care of someone else that isn't you and talking to them. I really love about animals and partnerships too. Like I'm completely made for like partnership. My fiance and I now, like we spend, when we're together, we just spend the whole day talking. We just spend all day talking, and it's so nice to just be constantly joking and talking to someone. Um, but it feels different for, I think, like friends and groups of people like that. The comfort level is just different, or like you feel like you have to be a different kind of yourself around friends or groups of people. And that takes a lot more energy out of me.
Yeah, I relate a lot, but I feel like a little bit like I think I can imagine people being like, like they don't like hanging out with friends. They just like to stay alone with a cat.
Like Lucy and Rachelle love the pandemic. They think it's great. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I guess like that's like why poetry and like writing works, right? And
Yeah.
like online communities, because we don't have to, we can have it, we can have the best of both worlds where we are connecting with people, but through these like solitary acts of like reading and writing and editing work. Or I can lay in my bed all day and joke with people on Twitter all day and like feel social and not alone, while still also getting reading and writing done. So
Yeah. I feel like like when I edit someone's writing, like especially if it's someone that I know, like that is like when I would feel closest to them, even though like they're not with me. Like if I'm just literally in the Google Doc, like suggesting things and like trying to like draw something out of them, or like ask them questions about why they made choices or whatever, like that to me feels like the like best friend I could be. like
yeah,
I can make your story better. And
it's such a privilege. It really is. And it's so intimate. It's such a privilege to be able to know someone on that level and to have that kind of trust.
yeah, for someone to give you that access to something, like it's hard for me to do to give that to someone else. Like so yeah, I feel like when when someone lets you in like that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
meaningful.
Yeah, it's the best. It really is. I love working with my close friends or Aiden or anyone on like something new that they're working on, or even if they're just in the brainstorm like stage of an idea for a project or a piece of writing or something. It feels like a privilege to be let in on that and to help them like get closer to what they mean or want, or to give them like tools or ideas, that kind of thing. I get a lot of energy from that.
Me too. We have a lot in common.
Nice. Thank God. This would be really awkward.
Would you like to read some? What you? I know you're going to read something, but what will you read?
I'm gonna read like one or two like standalone, I don't know, just like individual poems that I've written recently that I like. And then I'm going to read a couple things from a chapbook that I have coming out this summer with Foundlings Press. Just because I think these will give context to what I'm writing right now.
Exclusive.
Yeah. All right. So I've been like, I don't know, just like going back to like thinking about trying it again with that X, and like letting it be messier. A lot of like the generating force behind a poem for me lately is like writing against the love poem, or I don't know, like something that I noticed in a lot of my workshops, and I don't know if it's because of the kinds of poems that I have written or being just like a young woman. But a lot of my poems are being mistaken for love poems when they're not. And so I'm interested in what that means about like a reader's expectation for like a young woman poet. Um, so yeah. This poem is called You Like That. Me being no one, it's everything to know you. You'd like it if I said that. You'd think it were so great. Me being no one, you think you're such a dream saying I'll take one of everything, calling me in from my own name. All my favorite pop stars are singing I want you back, want your feeling, I want some more. I don't want to climb into my only pair of high heels looking like I own the place, but it's a start. Not only love makes me bark. This poem is called Flowers, Poems, Flower Poems. I think it's a working title. I don't think that's going to be the real title. Sorry, there's like some sun coming in. It's making it kind of hard to read. A woman I've never met sends me tulips from 2 states over. There are things women know to do. They sit on my desk next to the window. I love flowers because they're ordinary on one side of the glass and a gift on the other. I keep them alive to remember I can. There are things women know how to do. Clipped and caged, and I think that's beautiful. What could be more feminine than dying a slow death and another creature calling it beautiful? A hymn for every howl. It's crazy when you think about it. Whatever you call it, it's the one thing that brings me back into myself. Dancing naked in the mirror and making faces in the glass. I only ever wanted to make you feel my feeling. You want to make me mad so you can call me mad while I am mad. You knew who I was when you spun me like a prom queen, and I kept my eyes open. I showed you my rotten nature. A woman can spend her whole life spinning, arranging flowers, and I intend to. Not now, but I've decided to die, like a tulip in March on the desk of a stranger and opening. Sweet enough for you now? Still opening. And where is it? Oh gosh, there it is. My external monitor. So this is a crown of sonnets. I'm just going to read like a couple of the sonnets that I have coming out this summer, and it is called, where is it? Sorry, give me just 2 seconds. I have like 5 Word docs, so
No, no problem.
it's fine this week.
Your reading style is so successful. You really
What did you say?
your reading style feels so successful to me. Like you really become the poem when you read it, and some, like when I was rereading your book, like I've seen you read like, a bunch of times, but because of that, like when I read the poems, I can like hear your voice, and I like know how, even the poems that like I haven't heard you read, like I kind of like know how you would say them, I think, and then like it just makes it such a fuller experience for me. I feel like you would be a great person to have an audiobook.
Thank you so much for saying that. That's really important to me, actually. The I don't know, I feel like voice is such an important part of it, like any poem, but I especially I don't know, that's why I tend to use more like chatty, ready-made, colloquial phrases, because I want it to sound like I want it to be clear that the person behind the poem like is a person with their own personality, and the poem came out of that kind of terrain or something. I don't know. But yeah, thank you. If anyone's listening who has an audiobook company, would love to love to record that. Actually, it'd be fun. So Reopening is the name of the crown of sonnets that I have coming out with Foundlings Press this summer. I'm just going to read 3 of them, I think. I'm going to take a sip of water first. The jar is so huge.
I wasn't going to say anything.
It's like the size of my face. All right, Reopening. What's so special about amusement parks is sometimes somebody dies on a ride you've gone on, and suddenly you're a survivor because you didn't. It makes sense to hear the news and make it all about yourself. I can't believe it. I was just there. I know the exact turn they're talking about. Some rides get famous when guests come from all over to witness the danger themselves. I've been ready to risk it all for the world's steepest drop, for the bragging rights of having made it to the exit. What kind of question is truth or dare? The trick is you can always dare someone to tell a whole truth, but me knowing nothing, I always pick dare. You can tell some women are survivors because they're around to say so. And you know what? Good for them. After the summer of the virus, a flower shop in New York advertised, "Congratulations on surviving. Enter promo code SURVIVOR at checkout for 10% off your order." I'm told grief is about the living, but what if you're both? Shouting from the exit, "Come down from there." Look, I am not a maximalist. Never been one to suffer anything any more than I needed to. Still, I can't deny it's a beautiful view. After everything, I know it's a choice, that I can choose it. I named my price. What I do with my own suffering is my business. No hands. After the stabbing, her husband swore confusion, but all I did was give her a few small nips. With nowhere else to go, he was spotted by their neighbor, the knife still hot in his hand. The artist took his testimony for the title of her painting. It helped her survive a crisis. With nowhere else to go, a painting is an idea loosened from the body and left out to dry. I don't know how to talk about art, but there are some things I look at and I want to keep looking. With my back against the wall, I said, first one to blink. Spoiled his trick, so what? It's interesting because I'm around to say so. Follow my finger. I want to show you something. So those are the first 3 stanzas of Reopening.
Wow. Really great, in my humble opinion.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. Feels different. It feels uncomfortable, or like, I don't know if it's like the form, like I'm forcing myself to write in form for the first time, or if it's the content and subject matter. It's just like the stress of having put out a book and thinking, like, how does this relate to the book? Like, what expectations are people going to have having read my book going into this or something? But feels good. It's weird to write a 15-page poem.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. So you think that this will be in the chapbook that comes out this summer?
Yeah, this is the whole thing. It's all one poem, but they're like individual sonnets within it. But in my mind, it's like all one thing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and the name is Reopening?
I think so. Just because, like, the context of it is like the flower poem that I read right before it, and the idea of opening, and like wanting to do something again, like thinking about how I've been reprocessing a lot of like the subtext to that X, or the subtext of the experiences that went into that X, and the sort of like looping ability of A Crown of Sonnets, and amusement park rides like closing and then reopening. I don't know, it feels like the right title, but I also just like I don't know yet. I'm not good at titles, they always come last.
You'll figure it out. Yeah, you don't need to think about that right now.
Well, if you have any ideas, let me know.
All right, I'll think about it. But yeah, thank you so much for reading, and thank you for talking with me and sharing how you feel about everything.
Thanks for having me. It's been really great.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I think I want to have more. All right. Thanks for another profound experience.